On Halloween, Matthew took a huge risk. His wife immediately called 911 in a bid to prove his point to the younger generation. He insisted on demonstrating the prop's safety to his wife and nearly lost his head in the process. Though the blade wasn't sharpened, the wound came dangerously close to his carotid artery. Matthew gasped for breath, his life hanging by a thread. Firefighters rushed to free him, but the axe was stuck. Teammates had to cut through the wooden plank holding it in place, all while Matthew kept yelling, "Don't ruin my prop." After sawing through the plank, they lifted the axe while securing it with pry bars and ropes. Paramedics checked Matthew's neck, no injuries, just superficial cuts. He was cleared for transport to the hospital. His life was saved, but Matthew's face showed pure disappointment. He hadn't gotten his fill of this death-defying stunt. His wife cursed from behind, demanding he immediately toss this junk. Hearing this, the firefighter moved into the station to produce a warning video. "This isn't Halloween material." Clive's nose barely brushed the infant's swaddling cloth when he instantly suspected drug residue.
Tox screen in Brian's blood.
Why?
Because I said so, Nancy Drew. Just do it.
Subsequent test results confirmed his worst fears. He instructed the nurse to isolate the infant from his father.
Crazy, isn't it?
And reported the situation. Luke was actually a drug dealer. Upon arriving at the hospital, he lied about his wife suffering a kitchen accident while cooking. The truth was an explosion at his home-based drug lab. The infant's incessant crying stemmed from withdrawal symptoms. Before police arrived, Clive had to stabilize Luke. As an agitated Luke yelled at the crying infant, Clive stared him down, shattering his illusions with each deliberate word. "Your child's nerves and heart have suffered permanent damage."
Shot. You can't stop crying because his brain and his heart and his renal system are all compromised. He can't stop crying because he's in withdrawal from crystal meth, you son of a...
Luke completely broke down, confessing that after losing his job, he'd turned to drug manufacturing solely to support his family.
Well, now you can love your family from jail.
Clive's words pushed Luke over the edge. He chose to flee with the baby into his wife's hospital room. By the time medics found them, the infant had suffered a stroke. Though doctors fought desperately to save the child, lifelong disabilities remained. Bailey harshly reprimanded Clive. "Your recklessness escalated a tragedy that could have been prevented."
You got in the face of a known felon while his 1-year-old child was still in the room. Are you stupid? Fool.
During a joint operation to apprehend an arms trafficking ring, the suspects unexpectedly launched a rocket-propelled grenade. Everyone instinctively crouched for cover. Yet strangely, the explosion never came. It turned out a SWAT team member had intercepted the incoming RPG with his thigh. But the crisis was far from over. The bomb disposal expert arrived, followed closely by Della and 2 colleagues who witnessed the harrowing scene. The injured officer's artery had ruptured, creating a dual life-threatening crisis. The bomb disposal expert discovered the munition contained a self-destruct mechanism. Every maneuver demanded extreme precision and stability. Working in perfect synchronization, they removed the tail fin. The victim's blood pressure plummeted. The expert risked everything to urgently extract the projectile embedded in the officer's leg. The extraction proceeded smoothly, and the rocket did not detonate. Yet, just as victory seemed within reach, the bomb disposal expert's finger trembled, triggering the self-destruct mechanism. Captain Ryder rushed in, only to be violently thrown against the wall by the blast. Shrapnel pierced her abdomen, and life slipped away by the second. After emergency transport to the hospital, the shrapnel miraculously avoided Della's vital organs. This accident left the entire team shaken. The newborn baby suddenly turned purple, though the symptoms quickly subsided. Gray immediately noted a heart murmur requiring a full scan, but the pediatrician dismissed it as insignificant.
So you're not going to do
He's
tests?
not your patient. He's not even on your service.
Are you sure it's benign?
I'm a doctor too, you know. You should get out of here.
Gray stared at the infant's faint breaths, her heart clenching. The turning point came that day when the parents visited their baby. Gray bypassed the attending physician to warn the family. The couple immediately demanded a full examination. The pediatrician flew into a rage and summoned the department head. Everyone assumed intern Gray had overstepped her bounds and caused trouble.
I was just actually...
Just then, the chief physician passed by and intervened to take control of the situation.
You can guarantee that he's fine. You're 100% sure.
The test results confirmed Gray's startling diagnosis. The infant suffered from complex congenital heart disease tetralogy of Fallot combined with pulmonary atresia requiring immediate life-saving surgery. Though Gray saved the child, the chief physician severely reprimanded her for violating protocol. Yet in her eyes, only the weight of life mattered, not the boundaries of rules. All the contestants are eager to get started. With the boss's signal, the competition begins. The contestants rush to the car and place their hands on it. Everyone is shouting slogans, confident and determined to win. But soon the excitement fades, and everyone starts to feel tired. Some were so thirsty they kept drinking water, while others were so tired their backs ached. Then, a woman sneezed and her hand left the car, causing her to be eliminated first. She was instantly filled with regret. Seeing this, the others could only endure the pain. continuing from day into night. Gradually, more and more people were eliminated. Some couldn't hold their urine after drinking too much water. Others were too tired, and some simply couldn't keep going. By the next day, only Emma and Ron were left. To win the competition quickly, Ron began persuading Emma, "I'll give you $1,000 if you give up the competition. Anyway, you can't win in the end. Give up now and you can get $1,000. You can have a big meal and get a spa treatment. How nice." But Emma remained unmoved, determined to fight to the end. Suddenly, with a scream, her bladder was about to burst. Ron almost laughed out loud. The boss immediately called 911, and firefighters rushed to the scene. They learned that the two contestants had been standing for 28 hours, and Emma had not eaten or drunk anything for 2 days to avoid using the restroom. Based on Emma's lower back pain and abdominal fluid buildup, they diagnosed her with acute kidney failure and bladder damage. Despite this, Emma refused to give up the competition and refused to take her hands off the car. The firefighters tried to persuade Ron to give in, but he also refused to give up. The captain suggested that the boss suspend the competition to avoid a fatality. The boss, with a capitalist smile, said rules were rules. The captain asked if it was okay for one hand to stay on the car, and upon receiving confirmation, he had the team bring a chainsaw. The team immediately understood and made a move to cut the car, leaving the boss speechless. Looking at the journalists nearby, he helplessly announced that Emma and Ron each won a car. The boss stated that what mattered more than the deal was his conscience. Kudos to this boss. Patient Mark disregarded the hospital's no smoking policy and lit a cigarette, accidentally starting a fire that caused severe facial burns. Just 2 days prior, he had undergone coronary bypass surgery and was scheduled for discharge today. Who could have predicted his craving for a cigarette would strike at this critical moment? His wife was nearly broken. His face and eloquence were the very lifeline sustaining their entire family. Mark had frequently won awards as a top car salesman. The plastic surgeon was forced to perform the procedure ahead of schedule. Just as they were preparing to proceed, the surgeon who had performed Mark's heart surgery 2 days earlier raised objections. Mark should first spend a night in intensive care for observation. Only after confirming no issues should facial surgery proceed. But Mark's wife couldn't wait. She desperately wanted her husband's appearance restored and insisted on immediate facial surgery. Though the surgical team successfully removed necrotic tissue, doctors admitted Mark's face would bear permanent scars. His once handsome features could never be restored.
But he's a salesman. He has such a nice face.
Gina, a 20-year-old surrogate, suffered life-threatening injuries in a severe car accident. Yet her commissioning parents adamantly refused life-saving surgery. They insisted on allowing the fetus to develop inside her until birth, even if it meant Gina becoming vegetative. The doctors were stunned, stating, "You have no right to decide over Gina's life or death." They then produced a contract and medical authorization proving their right to make decisions for Gina. The attending physician emphasized that Gina urgently needed craniotomy, her only chance for recovery. But when the parents learned the surgery might affect the baby, they stubbornly refused the plan. This outcome was unacceptable to the attending physician, who sought out hospital administration. However, hospital management refused to intervene due to legal risks. The medical team now faced a dual moral and legal dilemma. Meanwhile, Lisa, the head of obstetrics, stepped forward. She sought out the pregnant woman to persuade her to reconsider. The woman was deeply conflicted. She and Gina had been close friends, and she couldn't bear the thought of Gina becoming a vegetable. Yet, recognizing this as her last chance to have her own child, she couldn't prioritize Gina's well-being over that.
How are you gonna feel a week from now? A month or a few years?
The soul-searching question finally broke through the ice wall in her heart. During the surgery, both Gina and the fetus faced life-threatening crises. Gina's blood pressure plummeted, and the fetus's heart rate suddenly dropped. If they couldn't stabilize them within 30 seconds, both would die. The couple waited anxiously the moment they saw the doctor. Their hearts were pounding with tension. The medical team performed a breathtaking double rescue. The happy ending, with both mother and child safe. While Jack was getting a filling, the dentist accidentally sealed his entire mouth shut. The arriving paramedics were stunned. It turned out the dental intern had made a mistake, forgetting to add a separating agent. This caused the rapidly hardening plaster model to completely seal the patient's mouth. To remove the hardened plaster, the emergency team had to use a professional dental drill to force it open. Jack was terrified and tried desperately to dodge. Paramedics reassured him, "Moving could cut your girlfriend's kissing lips." After administering sedation, they began meticulous grinding work. After 2 hours of emergency treatment, the outer plaster was finally separated, but the mold remained tightly bonded, requiring more decisive action. A teammate delivered a decisive blow. With the crisp crack of plaster shattering, Jack's jaw was freed. Tom was rushed to the ER with a broken leg. While the doctor was focused on studying his x-rays, he secretly stuffed medical cotton into his mouth and began chewing. Tom was possessed disinfectant swabs, paper clips, even scissors. He greedily swallowed them as if they were delicacies. When the attending physician returned,
What the hell? Who took my clamps?
And the bandage scissors.
Tom was already showing signs of suffocation from throat obstruction. Examination revealed multiple perforations. The medical team performed emergency surgery on Tom, besides scissors and paper clips.
Swallow those?
Poor fool must suffer from pica, uncontrollable urge to eat any and everything.
They retrieved 5 pounds of coins from his stomach. Firefighter Cruz discovered during a rescue that the trapped victim was his sworn enemy. Hearing the man's desperate cries, he resolutely slammed the fire door shut.
This is Cruz up top. All clear.
The victim was a gang leader notorious for his criminal activities, a street killer who committed every conceivable evil. Crucially, Cruz's own brother was under his command. Fearing for his brother's safety, Cruz approached the leader alone, pleading for his release. Unexpectedly, the boss demanded a $10,000 ransom for his release. Cruz panicked he couldn't possibly afford it. That night, the boss brutally beat his brother and tossed him out of a car. Seeing his brother beaten like that, Cruz's heart ached. He knew this was the boss's warning. Cruz pleaded for more time, but the boss refused, even capturing his brother again and raising a gun before his eyes. No! Thankfully, it was only a dream, yet he knew that without the ransom, the nightmare would become reality. To raise the money, he endured relentless pressure day and night. The gang leader's death should have brought relief. Guilt, like damp vines, coiled around his heart, tightening relentlessly. The captain, mistakenly believing Cruz was blaming himself for a rescue failure, kept encouraging this outwardly heroic firefighter. But only Cruz knew he was a despicable murderer. Upon learning of the boss's death, his younger brother finally felt free. Overjoyed, he rushed to share the news with his brother. But seeing Cruz's expression, he realized his brother had been silently protecting him all along. Yet guilt continued to torment Cruz. He confessed his murder to the deputy captain. The deputy captain stared him straight in the eye. Are you going to turn yourself in and destroy yourself, or use your life to save more people? Faced with the agonizing choice between surrender and redemption, he ultimately chose to remain with the fire department. He would save more lives, using his actions to atone for past mistakes. This ending is left for you to judge.